Hey guys, today we're back for the e-commerce opportunity where I'm joined by Daniel. Today, Daniel and I are going to be talking about all things agency. In particular, Daniel's got some exciting news. About 2 months ago, his business was acquired by socialchain. So we're going to dive into agency acquisition and all things agency. But first, Daniel, how are you?
What's up, Chase? I'm good, man. Good. Glad to be finally chatting with you. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, dude, likewise. I'm so happy for you. And by the way, congratulations on the acquisition. I cannot wait to kind of dive in and talk about that. Do you want to first start with, your background and kind of the agency that you built? When did you start it? What are some of the things that you guys do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm a founder CEO of Mint Performance Marketing. We've been around for just over 2.5 years. We're a full service performance marketing agency. So we do creative in-house influencer marketing, paid social, Google, connected TV, dabbling in some audio, some exciting stuff happening there, and email and SMS marketing as well. So an amazing team. We're just under 30 people now, growing quickly. I've been in the industry for a long time. I joined MySpace back in 2004, I think it was. So kind of early days of digital and social, which was an exciting time. So really learnt the ropes of everything digital back at MySpace. Was there for a couple of years. Facebook kind of ruined the party for everyone a little bit. So left MySpace, went to AOL, worked across their performance network as well as their owned and operated properties. Great company, great people. And I was at a company called Turn that were acquired by Amobi before starting Mint. They moved me over to the US. So that's the first thing. I'm not Australian. I'm from England. It's confusing. I get that. Moved over to the US about 7 years ago with Turn. Got my green card from them, which was incredible. And back then I was doing strategy for brands like Toyota, Red Bull, Adidas, Kia, Lexus, whole host of brands. Working across digital and social, programmatic as well, connected TV. So been in the space a long time. And Mint has been great journey so far. And as you mentioned, we became part of the socialchain agency group about 2 months ago, which is teeing up lots of exciting things for the future.
Sweet, man. Well, appreciate that. I want to dive into the acquisition. So it sounds like 2 to 3 years ago when you first started, were you building with an acquisition in mind? And if you were, did you get acquired earlier around the time that you thought, or kind of later than when you were hoping for?
So in all honesty, no, we didn't. I didn't start Mint with the goal of getting investment or becoming part of a bigger agency group. I think there's probably things that I would have done differently if that was the goal from day one, which we can obviously dive into a bit more. But for me, it was more, a real alignment of people first and foremost. So a good friend of mine, Oliver, who has been the MD of socialchain New York, known him for a while, incredibly smart guy, great public speaker. I'm never going to be at that level of public speaking, but he's, great friend. And he kind of teed up a conversation based on learning a bit more about what Mint does. And so really it wasn't on my radar, but just from a strategic perspective and just how we really complement each other as a business and combined offering, like it was something that instantly got my attention. And, those conversations started about 10 months ago. We finalized the deal about 2 months ago. Again, lots of learnings along the way, kind of went into it a little bit blind around what this meant, but yeah, no, it wasn't the goal from the beginning, but, I'd say like it couldn't have been better. And if there was any agency out there, like I've known of socialchain for so long, I probably would have only chosen them anyway.
That's cool, man. So it took 8 months. That's a long time. I'm sure at points you thought, hey, this is going to happen. Oh, I don't know if it's going to happen. So I'm sure it was a roller coaster, but you're on the other side. So that's awesome. One of the things that you kind of alluded to that I'd love to pick your brain about is what are the things that you would have done differently if you actually knew that you wanted to sell, or you knew that you were going to sell?
Yeah. I think when it came to things like valuations and stuff like this, and just operating an agency more to maximize a valuation, there's potential things that you would have done differently. Not that the valuation was bad, or obviously it made sense for both parties, but I think you know, there's a way of building an agency where it's more of potentially you're running it for yourself and obviously building the team and everything else. But if the goal is we know we want to get acquired, then you know, maximizing your GP, maximizing your EBITDA from day one, like these are things that you probably should be doing anyway. But I think there's just a different mindset that you would approach it from if like acquisition is your main focus.
Yeah, that makes sense. Without asking you for your numbers, like what are some like agency multiples that are kind of being thrown around right now? Are agencies like yours and mine, or are we valued at 5x, 7, 10? Like, do you have any sense of like what that range looks like?
It's definitely not tech multiples, I can tell you that much. You know, I'd say between 2 and 5, probably. You know, which I think depending on the size of your business and whether it's a acquisition to add complementary services or whether it's an acquisition of your book of business to do the same services, I think a lot of those things will impact where the valuation probably lands. And with us, it was, we don't really do what they do. They don't really do exactly what we do. We're more performance driven. They're far more kind of big creative strategy, brand, organic, social. I mean, they kill it in that game. So I think between that range is probably what I've seen. And again, depending on the nature of whether it's like more of a talent acquisition or a book of business acquisition or a complementary capability acquisition, I think that steers some of the conversation.
Nice. And in your case, it kind of sounds like you guys were a really nice like bolt on. You guys offer services that they don't have, you know, talent that they don't have. I know for them, you know, they're really big, I think, in Europe, you know, in the UK. And I think you mentioned they have a New York office, but I got to imagine that your kind of penetration of like the US market probably also plays into that. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, I think it is. I think for, you know, obviously we have great talent when it comes to performance. They have great talent when it comes to kind of more brand activities and creative. They're huge in Europe. I mean, the group that owns Social Chain Agency is based in Berlin. They have offices in London, Manchester, England, New York. As a company as well, they have the agency business, they have a media business, and they own and operate their own brands. And obviously, being a European-based company, the US is, you know, it's a big opportunity. So having a team on the ground who knows performance, you know, was a huge factor. And just the collective resources we now have of like real full 360 across a brand approach, from like organic creative strategy, more awareness driven, down to everything that we do from a performance angle, just, you know, complementary to each other, but like a really key kind of offering, not just for other brands, but to kind of run and scale the brands that they also own themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. And then for you in particular, like what does your role look like in the new kind of world that you're living in under that acquisition? What does your role look like? Or is it the exact same? And if so, what was that? And I guess what still is that?
Yeah, I'm in spreadsheets a lot more. I mean, you know, I think from a day-to-day perspective, in a way, not a lot has changed, right? We're part of Social Chain Group, but we run somewhat independently. We still service our clients. You know, I'm still CEO of Mint. I'm still building Mint and doing all the things that I was doing previously. I think the difference is, you know, obviously being part of a larger group, there are other deliverables that I'm now accountable to delivering, if that makes sense. So, but I think like it's an up leveling, you know, of what I've been doing previously, because there's more resources available. We can be a bit more aggressive. We're thinking slightly more long term because we have the ability to do so, being part of a larger group. We're obviously now discussing what does a combined, you know, how do we combine what we're doing to maximize the value to our cross section of clients. So it's changed in so much as, you know, the obvious of it's not just, I'm not just accountable to myself and my team. But the benefits of that are, you know, it's it's an up leveling, if, you know, for lack of a better phrase.
That's awesome. One more question on the agency stuff, and then I have a couple other questions I want to ask you because I know, at least I understand that you, I think, own an operator or a partner kind of in some food and beverage type brands. But the last question I have on the agency side is like, knowing what you know and offering, you know, a whole suite of services, which one do you think, you know, in 2021 and beyond is going to be, I don't know if like the easiest is the best word, but like the best service to offer? Obviously, it depends on skill set, right? But you know, Facebook and Instagram and some of these top of funnel platforms, obviously there's still a lot of money there. That's obvious, but they're also a lot more challenging, right? I think it takes a lot more patience and, you know, more team and more testing, right? Or I think if someone was starting a paid social agency 2, 4, 6 years ago, right, that was like the heyday of it. So maybe that's still your answer. Whereas I think like things like email or SMS or content creation maybe are better now, but that's just kind of from my vantage point. For you offering all these services, like what do you think some of like the best services that people can kind of get into or offer this year and beyond?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be amiss not to mention email and SMS on this conversation. Obviously, owning data, email and SMS retention, and all the things that come with that is hugely important to a brand. So I think that's going to continue to be, you know, it should never have not been on people's radars. I think it's more so on people's radars, which is a good thing. So you know, that's definitely a key service. You can't have a leaky bucket when it comes to how you're kind of managing your customer data and growing your subscriber lists. When it comes to kind of the media side of things, you know, obviously the seismic changes in the industry, you know, Apple doing its thing. But I think, you know, for me, we talk a lot about the inputs, right? So what are the inputs that have the biggest impact on the effectiveness of your paid media, right? It's how impactful your creative is. It's not necessarily an input, but your landing pages, like conversion rate optimization. So I think the industry of Facebook ads and social ads and just paid media in general, that's going to continue to be, right? Like it's going to continue to be your main acquisition channel, like it is, but there is going to be more emphasis on how effective your inputs into those channels are when it comes to creatives, how you're using influencers, how you're optimizing your site. So I think the emphasis shifts from just the levers you can pull within Facebook and goes more into the inputs you're putting into those platforms. And you know, I think from an industry perspective, like you said, the heyday of Facebook ads, like, you know, the barrier to entry was very low. It still is very low, but I'd say the barrier to now getting effective performance has been raised significantly. So I think for agencies who are able to kind of control those inputs or have better inputs and truly understand measurement and truly understand kind of more than just the front facing low barrier entry points of paid, I still think the opportunity is there. I think that the barrier has been raised significantly about how many people can just jump onto Facebook and see results. I think those days have gone.
Yeah, dude, great answer. The last section of today I want to talk about is kind of some of the stuff that at least I think that you're doing on the brand side. From my understanding, you're either an owner or partner or somehow involved in one or more, I don't know if it's like a food brand or a beverage brand. Can we talk about kind of what that looks like?
Yeah, so Spudsy Foods. Can we drop a link?
Yeah, we'll drop a link. We'll drop a link below for sure.
We'll get a code. So Spudsy Food, I'm a small share partner in that. So the owner, CEO, Ashley, she'd built a business previously, another CPG brand. So she kind of came to me when she had this initial idea of doing a sweet potato puff. It's really interesting being both brand side and agency side, and there's a couple of other brands that I'm a part of, because as an agency as well, I think you can be more effective if you understand brand side. If you are thinking about brand side challenges, right? Which we definitely bring to the table. And so for me, kind of having brand side, running that brand through our agency and really understanding how to drive value, but what the challenges on the brand side are, has up-leveled my knowledge, right? So previously, you don't get under the hood when you're working at MySpace and Turn and AOL. You don't get that same level of potential transparency. So it's been a really exciting journey. And like I said, it's been a great way of us marrying brand side knowledge and experience into how we operate as an agency from the very beginning, because it allows us to be more connected to our client partners at the end of the day.
Sweet, man. And the last question I have for you today is, what are you thinking about? So outside of just the agency and outside of this brand, what's been interesting you, or what are you thinking about? Whether that's, I don't know, NFTs, stuff on your personal life, whether it's health and fitness, like what's something that's really interesting to you that you're doing a bunch of research and kind of spending a lot of time thinking about?
Not NFTs, I'm afraid. Like I find the space interesting and baffling at the same time. I don't want to be on the wrong side of history and say that it's not going to be big, but it's not something I'm personally doing right now. I think for me, like, being agency side, building brands is what I love. Like, even though these days I do less of the actual work, like I'm a marketing strategy, paid media guy. Like that's what I love to do. But I think outside of that, personally, I love music, I love boxing, I love health and fitness. Like that's what I do when I'm not, doing the CEO role of Mint. But I think like technology is super exciting to me, whether that's connected to kind of e-commerce or not. Like mental health is a huge kind of passion for me, and I'm looking at areas of where I can benefit other businesses from being somebody who has built businesses, and how can I add value to other people who are maybe earlier on in their journey to me. So I'm always looking out for opportunities around, helping other entrepreneurs, other business owners, how to scale, how to, hone what they're doing and offer value and support. So, some exciting things, I think, for the future in those areas. Like if I could do marketing for music, that would probably be one of the things that I'd love to do, just because it marries my love of music and my love of marketing. I'm waiting for Machine Gun Kelly to reach out, but we'll see if that happens.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's a listener, or else he definitely would reach out. But dude, this is really cool. I appreciate your time. Again, congratulations on your acquisition. For people that want to learn, about your agency, that want to learn about you, what's like the best place or places for people to follow along and kind of connect with you?
These days, Twitter. Big in the Twitter game now, which I love. So probably find me on Twitter, FoodDog85. I have 2 food dogs tattooed on my chest, which is where that name came from. So yeah, Twitter is great. And then obviously from an agency perspective, mint-performancemarketing.com. Hit us up through there. Those are the best places.
Sweet. Those links are below. Daniel, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it, Chase. Thank you so much, dude.
Of course, man. Cheers.